Welcome back to the Basic Bee podcast. I'm thrilled to have you here, and I'm super excited to introduce you to one of my mentors, Natalia Benson. So we're going to be talking all about her work with money, business, astrology, and how she's actually impacted my life in a really big way this year. Before I bring her on, here's her quick intro. Natalia Benson is an astrologer and money mentor living in Southern California with her husband, Mick, and their dogs, Taro and Freya. Freya, did I already butcher it?
She doesn't care.
Freya. She's like, whatever, I'll just show up for anything. By fusing the spiritual world with practical tools for empowerment, Natalia has helped thousands of students and clients make meaningful choices and changes in their lives. She specializes in money mentorship, digital course creation, and online monetization rooted in astrology, personal finance, and spiritual wellness. She has her own money membership, 6 years running, called Magical Women and Money. She has also been the host of the Natalia Benson podcast, an astrology, money, and entrepreneurship-based podcast. Natalia's mission is to equip women with the power to create life on their terms, thanks to the unique fusing of financial awareness, astrology, and spirituality. And she's currently training and practicing to become a medium. Natalia, welcome.
Oh, thank you. I always say it's like a great, I don't even know what to call it, but it's like a fascinating practice to just sit while someone reads your bio.
It's like awkward, but at the same time, it's like, oh, thank you. I'm pretty cool.
Yeah, this is so nice. Like I just blush like every time basically. So yeah, thanks, Boo. I'm so happy to be here.
Of course, I am too. I'm really excited to just connect my community with people who have been so helpful in my life, especially recently. So thanks for letting me show you off.
Thanks for showing me off.
All right, I'm going to hit you with the question that I ask everyone at the beginning of the podcast. There are no wrong answers, just to remind the audience. But which do you believe is the most important for sales? SEO, storytelling, or social proof?
Oh my God. Can I say all three?
Yes.
No, honestly, I do feel that all three are important because sales to me, like anything in business, is like an ecosystem. The methods and what it is that we need to move things forward, it doesn't live in a vacuum. But if I would say something that I think is really prolific and important, I do feel that storytelling is really powerful because number one, I feel like our brains are like hardwired to receive story. And I just, for the kind of work that I do, and even the way that I buy, I really think that storytelling is very, very powerful and important. And I think it also requires us as the entrepreneur or the business owner, change maker, to really own our story or own our why around why we're doing what we're doing. Yeah, how it originated. I think I find often that people are very fascinated by that and it gives them something to connect to. And hopefully, if it feels aligned, to make an investment or a purchase in something that betters their lives.
Yeah.
I love that question.
Thank you. It never gets old.
I could have gone in 30 directions, but I was like, let's go with storytelling. But all three are important, surely.
I had a feeling you might go with storytelling, but I really didn't know because I don't know that I've specifically heard you speak about any of those.
I never have. So thank you. Because I'm secretly like a total geek about business. It's just not something I feel like I share as often just because it doesn't really flow with my story. So,
well, it's kind of like astrology pulls people into your world. And then you're like,
yes,
here's all the business stuff and all the financial stuff too.
Exactly. That it's actually my beautiful, loving secret because I'm like, I want everyone to be financially literate and empowered and stable. And astrology is like the gateway for that.
It really is. And that really helps personalize it too.
So real.
On this topic, will you tell us a little bit about the origin story of your membership, MWMM?
Yes, I'd be happy to. So I'm going to give you the short, succinct version, but very simply, all of my life, I remember when I was about 16 years old, I bounced my first check. I had gotten like a birthday check from a grandparent and I bounced it. And I remember being at the bank and being embarrassed because I was like, oh, I know this isn't good. Like, this isn't right. And I remember my parents used to teach me or attempt to teach me how to balance a checkbook. Keyword on attempt. It was almost like my brain would just cut short. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. So lead into my 20s, $50 in my bank account was a good day, a good week. I was always in the negative. I was terrified of money. I had businesses. My first business was a jewelry line, but it quote unquote failed because I had such a poor, avoidant relationship with my finances. Around the age of 29, I was like, I've had enough. So I made a reading date with myself to read a money book every Tuesday for 33 minutes. And that book was called Secrets of a Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. With that, I attended his free seminar, left as soon as they started teaching money management because my subconscious was like, nope, it can't be this good. It can't be this easy. You better leave. Things need to be hard. You don't get to have ease. It's a hard no. And of course, none of these things were conscious.
Mm-hmm.
So a year later, I went back again because I was in the exact same financial place, but this time I had just gone full time in my business. And the power and the magic of MWMM is that two really unique things came together. My love of spirituality and healing myself on what I like to call the energetic emotional level, which I attribute to the soul. And then the piece that transformed everything for me was learning money management, the tactical, practical side of money. And I learned it at that free seminar that I went to for the second time. And when I left that seminar, I made a commitment to myself. I was like, this is the line in the sand. I am never going back. I'm never going back to the avoidance. I'm going to use my spiritual tools and the tactical, practical, methodical ways of money. And I am going to transform my relationship to money on my terms. What school and banks and my parents have attempted to teach me has not been spoken in a way that's made any sense to me. So I knew I needed a softer approach. And that year, within the last, I'd say that happened around in August, the last 5 months of the year, I tripled my business. I went on to create a 6-figure business in the next year alone. I was 31 years old. So it took me a little bit of time. And I like to share that because MWMM exists for any woman or any person who feels like money isn't taught in a language that they understand. And they are craving not only to feel stable, but to not abandon their soul in the process, that these two things are deeply important. They actually work together. And just to make an astrology reference really quickly, like in the system of astrology, Virgo and Pisces are opposite signs, and Pisces rules the soul while Virgo rules like tactical reality. And that access is literally our power access because it's what we are as human beings. We're physical, tactical, practical bodies, but what animates us is the spirit, some energy that brings life to these forms, and money's the same. Like without a healthy relationship to fulfillment and peace, money is just numbers on a screen and paper in your purse.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really how it started and how it's going.
No, I love that. And I'll like tee up my story in a little bit. But the thing for me that drew me in was just like what I was saying was astrology, where I love learning, I love geeking out. And I've really just like jumped in so hard where I'm like, this is a gateway for me because I like learning about this, but oh, check it out. I'm also helping myself in this other way too.
Yes.
So I love that you combined them. And even with you saying that it was more of like a softer approach, another language definitely makes sense. And I'm over here like, yeah, definitely. That was definitely part of the appeal.
Oh my God. It's honestly so cool to hear that. And obviously, babe, like I know, I'm sure we'll get into this for a couple minutes, but you've just applied yourself in such a remarkable way. And that's so important in this work. And so it's so cool just to see what happens. Like it's literally why I can never quit, because it's just so cool to see how it didn't just alchemize in my life, like it's alchemized in the lives of hundreds and even thousands of women. And that's so cool to me. And that's like a ripple effect, because when we are healthy with our finances, it's a communal thing. Like money is currents of energy. It's really important to me.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard you share, but I'm so curious to ask you, do you have a favorite part or aspect of MWMM, whether it's like one of the tracks or one of the videos or like a thing that you teach, or like, is there anything that stands out that's like lights you up a lot?
Oh my God, honestly, my favorite part of MWMM is step 2, the 6 financial tools. And I'm sure as my babes are going through those steps, like step 1, step 2, step 3, I'm sure everyone wants to skip step 2. But step 2 is literally the reason why the membership will transform your entire life. But you have to dive into those 6 tools. And I'm very proud of that piece of the membership because that actually originally was a course that I created. I sold it last summer. And then I was like, oh my God, this is so succinct. It's short, it's manageable, it's approachable. And MWMM at the time, there was a lot of trainings around finances, of course, but I had never created something sort of how my mind functions now, which is like after so many years of chaos and disorganization, it's just like so cool to see how when you stick with something and it works for you, how you can then explain it simply. So I'm very proud of that. And also, I feel like for me, our IG lives are my favorite. Like we do the tarot. I love doing Q&As. Like I'm a Manny Gen. And I just feel like, I'm sure you can speak to this, B, because I feel like we generate so much energy on those freaking calls. They're just so special. And I leave every single live call of MWMM like on another plane of energy in such a beautiful way. Like I could be having a rough day or a rough season, and I leave an MWMM call and I just feel so grateful to be alive and to have the privilege of like doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's thanks to all of you. So,
well, I mean, but it also speaks to you and who you're pulling in and pulling together. So it's
cool.
Just like such a synergistic thing. But I have to say, yes, like wholeheartedly agree with both of those. I did take that training last year. I was just poking around on the back of the membership. I was like, I think I took that. I did. So that was one thing I did before I even got into like officially MWMM. But also with the IG lives, that is like the thing that makes me the happiest. And you and I will resonate with this because I lost my pup earlier this year and you've had loss in your life. And that was the one thing that I kept on my calendar because I was like, oh, I'm so excited. I just want to go there. And it's such a cool community, and you and having like that focus into like, okay, this sucks right now in this moment and it's really hard, but where am I going and like, what's it for? So I don't know that I told you that, but like it was the one thing that stayed on my calendar. Hey, fellow podcaster, I see you out here wanting to do more with SEO, but not even knowing where to begin or what to do. Oh, and yeah, there are loads of episodes you know you should be blogging about, but like, how? I saw so many conversations just like this happening around me, and one day I just thought, I'm a podcaster, I'm an SEO show notes writer, I should make a resource. So I did. And now you can grab the SEO podcast show note and blog post templates. You get everything you need to go from podcast idea to SEO optimized podcast show note to SEOified blog post, which means you've got 2 long-form content pieces out here marketing for you 24/7. I even included video training so you know exactly what goes where and how to incorporate SEO for your podcast ASAP. Click the link in the show notes and grab your templates today.
Oh, I'm so honored. I mean, I feel like I always say this in MWMM. It's like, let this be an energy giver to you. Like, come here and fill up your cup, because that's really what we do. And that's the power of community, like-hearted, like soul community. That's what we do together. It's just, I'm so honored.
Yeah, no, I love it. It meant a lot. And it's been a really cool spot to be in. Okay, I've got another question for you. Surprise.
I'm ready. I love a Q&A. I love a podcast.
I think this is like the perfect format too, because you're a Manny Gen, I'm a Manny Gen. Like we both get to respond. I'm so excited. I'm so happy you're here.
We love giant hearts.
What is your biggest hope with the membership? I'll leave it at that. What's your biggest hope?
It's interesting because everything I do on social media, especially these days, is all around astrology. I don't teach personal finance on Instagram. it's not my vibe. I think also Instagram has gotten so millisecond that I am like, okay, how can I connect, especially something that I'm so embodied in, which is astrology. But the truth is of what keeps me going, gets me up in the morning is truly, I feel a big part of like my dharma, my mission, why I am here is literally all around financial stabilization. It is around supporting women and anyone who's drawn to my work, how to feel stabilized and abundant and generous. And whatever their vision is or whatever their values are, what I think is interesting is when we actually step into a healthy relationship with money and we have more than we need, or we're just living in our own self-defined expression of abundance and success, I think we get really surprised at what values come online for us and what expands. So my hope for MWMM is only that it continues to expand. And like you said in my intro, it's 6 years running. I've had it for a very long time and it's grown, it's changed. And what excites me is just to continue to, this is my Capricorn rising speaking, but like to perfect this process so that it is deeply useful. And I always like to say that if you apply yourself through this simple process, this is like a teach you to fish moment. Like these are simple tools and simple awareness that will change the trajectory of your life because no one is coming to save us. No one is coming to take care of your money for you. No one's coming to take care of your health for you. Like everything has to originate from that deep commitment to your own sovereignty and to your values. And I just want to continue to see this membership grow. As I was growing it, it was very challenging at the beginning. It's ebbed and flowed. There have been times where I've loved it and times where I've realized that I need to make changes to it. And I'm so proud about where it is now because I know that it's in the perfect place to continue to scale and to continue to serve. And like the only word I can use is like proud. Like I'm so proud of where it is. And that's a really big thing to say around. I'm sure many of the babes listening to your podcast are entrepreneurs, but like to say that you've created something over time that you're proud of and you only want to see grow. I mean, it's actually a really special moment to be able to speak into that. So yes, growth, stable growth, but more than anything, I just get excited to see who is drawn to this work and who's willing to commit. It's not a simple commitment. It's 6 months and there's a reason for that because you need time to bring these tools into your life. But I've had so many mentors and people in my life say you need to shorten that. And I'm just like, no, because it also calls in a certain level of commitment from the woman who says yes to it. And I also feel that that's why we have such a special, loving, connected community because there's this deep level of devotion to the next level of one's life for anyone who says yes to MWMM. So that's my very long-winded answer, but I love that question. I was like, okay, growth and service and all the magic. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I love too how you tied together. I mean, being a Manny-gen, like I get it. And having a podcast that talks about SEO and storytelling and social proof. It's like we get to tie all the dots together.
Love it.
And just like collapse time for people and make the process easier. And you've done that with, astrology and business and money. And it's been really cool to watch and then to be a part of because I'm kind of a lurker for a while.
I've loved to hear that. It's actually cool for me to know, like, tell me more about this lurking. But I also think that's why you can't give up because it's like, I'll share this quickly, but it's like, I used to be the kind of person where like, I do something and I change it. But it's like, people need time. I actually did a session with someone last night for astrology and tarot. And she was like, oh, I've been following you for like years and years and years. And I finally booked this session. And I was like, cool. Like, people need to build trust. And I totally understand that, especially with something like this. Because like I said, 6 months is not a short amount of time. It's half a year.
Yeah. But it was also like, for me, at least something I hadn't thought about and then talk about like money being very confronting. Like We could spend a whole podcast on my stuff, and I think I have at some point. But the way I got introduced to your work was actually really cool. I was a massage therapist. 2020 happened. I was home and I was like, I love learning. I have since, by working with you, learned why. I've got a lot of like, what is it, like Gemini and Sagittarius placements. And
yeah, Gem Sag.
so I was online, learned what a webinar was, learned what email sequences were, all this kind of stuff. Found my way into copywriting because I love writing. And the very first thing, don't ask me why I jumped in the deep end, but I did. I was like, I'm going to learn to write quizzes because that sounds simple. It's not.
Oh my God, that's so cool. No, it's so hard. I've talked to people who make quizzes and they're just like, you want what? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this is so powerful.
Yeah, it's powerful, but it's a multi-step situational monster thing of, it's not a simple project. But someone on your team reached out to me early in my career because they had heard that I write quizzes. I don't know, like if you remember that or not, but it was a long time ago. And so I got introduced to your world that way because I was like, who is this chick? What does she teach about? What's going on?
Oh
and then
my
I just ended
God.
up in your world, listened to your podcast, followed you on Instagram, saw your YouTube videos. I was putting things to use and to work, but like being in the membership, it's much more impactful way to actually be in your world. 2023 was a really big year of like healing and growth for me. And I was like, give me all of the things. I will put all the things to work. And funny, I thought healing was like an upward path. It's much more like this, like twisting around ups and downs. And so it was just really interesting. So I was like gathering all the tools. Like I said, I took that training from you. And by the end of the year, I think you had opened the doors again for MWMM. And I was like, all right, fine, I'm in. Like, it's time. I'm going in. I'm just joining.
Oh my God, Britt.
What?
I remember we used to talk in the DMs a lot. You were thinking about it for a long time.
Yeah.
And I remember finally, was it the Saturn masterclass?
I did a few, but I think it was that like 6-step thingy you were talking about. That's step 2 now in the membership.
Oh my God. It must have been because it was the end of the year last year and I taught like a really off the cuff. I wonder if it was that. But anyways, that's so cool.
I did do that. The biggest thing was my boyfriend and I have been living in all these different places while we house hunt in Connecticut. And I remember the house that we were in when I started doing stuff with you. And it was actually like last April.
Yeah.
And I did like one of the meditations or visualizations that you had given out just freely. And I was like sitting on this bench in the hallway of this house, like bawling my eyes out. And I'm like, I need help. I need tools. So like the rest of the year, I was just in your world. But yeah, by the end of the year, I was like, dang it, I'm in here. I'm going all in. I'm like going all in on myself. And I'm going to confront this thing that feels like a really scary monster to me, which is the finances.
Oh my God. I'm so proud of you. Also, I never knew that story about the quiz. Like, I had no idea.
Ta-da! It must have been like 2021 when someone reached out.
I remember when we were talking about doing that, and it was probably my old assistant. I remember when we were like figuring out if we were going to do a project like that. That's so cool, Boo.
I know.
I'm honored. I'm so happy you're here. Even the gift that keeps on giving. Even like in team meetings, we'll be like, Britt, y'all. Like, Britt, she's just rocking.
That's so sweet. I love you guys.
That's so cool. We love you.
Well, thanks. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm an open book if you want to flip the tables and ask me anything.
Okay. So this is always really fun. What is the experience like for you being inside of this membership and this community? Like, what does it do for you? And what's sort of like your interaction with it on a regular basis?
I was reflecting on this because I'm like, there's so many things and I'm not able to show up for all of them. But the things I show up for are the Instagram lives. You've all seen me on the back end of Kajabi.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah, you're
I'm
popping.
in the training.
It's like 80%. Like, I want to say really quickly, that's the beauty of the structure is it's a choose your own adventure. You don't have to do everything. We have our success recipe, which is very straightforward, but it's just like, I love that. It's like being at an ice cream store and being like, what flavor do I want today? How do I want to like stack my cone? And that's really like the gift of this format, but I want to hear how you think about it.
I love it, is the short answer. At times I've been like, oh, I can't do everything. Like I can't go to the community calls. I've been able to make it to one of the money music movement sessions, which I loved.
Yes, the movement sessions.
It was so fun, but I'm not able to, largely because of like the spaces that we're in. I just can't participate. So I can't go. And so sometimes I'm like, oh man, like FOMO, am I missing out? But then I'll show up on the lives and like the chat's popping off and I know people and I've gone off to have like, you know, one-to-one conversations with people. I've been able to help people with their SEO, which is really cool. So
amazing.
like, I love being in a community, like you said earlier, of like-minded women and people who just were on this journey. It's nice having the support. It's nice like seeing each other when things are going well and also just being there to hold each other when things aren't going well. I learn
Yes.
so much about myself, but also so much about other people too. And even if I don't, have a question or I don't have anything that I'm coming to the table with that day, it's still like, oh, I get so much from what I hear about others or from
Mm.
others. And sometimes it'll even connect dots for myself. Like, I mean, people will
Yes.
talk about like fourth house. We had so many fourth house conversations this
Oh
year.
my gosh.
Like,
Yes.
and I have a ton of planets in my fourth house, which is like, it's a big deal for anyone who's not familiar with astrology. Maybe you can speak to that. But it was just so
Yes.
cool to see like, oh, I've got this in here and I've got this in here and I've got this placement, I've got this thing. And so that there's other people who at least kind of understand what
Mm.
you're going through and they're on a similar path. But yeah, I mean, it's just really supportive and really exciting and just a really nice place to be. I mean, I know nice is a boring word, but it's just like,
No, it's
ah.
great. I love it. And like, okay, I'm going to ask you the same question you asked me. Like, what is your favorite part of the, let's say membership, but like specifically the portal? We like to call it our little Netflix and MWMM. So it's like if you were having like a Friday night Sag Gemini moment and you just want to study, like what do you most love to do in the portal?
Yeah, I do. And I'll go like search out a training. And usually it's whatever the quarterly training or if there was a monthly training that
Mhm.
I didn't get to show up live for, I've had to get another notebook because I filled up the first one.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
Because I'll also leave space to just journal and let myself process it. I do a lot of like processing with a journal and with speaking. But yeah, like I'll just go and see what the quarterly training was. My track has been number 3 mostly, and then I think also number 1.
Mhm.
So like I'll go just exhaust whatever is in there. And then sometimes I'll find that I go back and listen to a training again. Like I had an astrology reading with you earlier this year and you were mentioning, I think it was like Venus and offers training.
Yes.
And so I think I've watched that 2 or 3 times
Oh my God, I love that. And like, I guess that's the thing too, is we have like our roadmap. Do you use the roadmap?
every month.
Your Capricorn is like loves, that's how I
Every
am. Like,
month.
that's why we have the roadmap in the portal because so often it's like you can opt in for a course or opt in for a membership, and it's so easy for life to just get in the way. But I feel like when you get that dopamine hit of like, oh, I, did one of my meditations or I read a book or
Mhm.
I did a training and you can check things off. I don't know. I wonder if your community is like that because that's why we have that because it gives you this nice roadmap to actually like get in and like dive into the trainings. If you had one core takeaway of how MWMM has improved your life, what do you feel like that is?
Ooh, I like that question and how you framed it. First of all, it got me to just face the thing that was so freaking scary. And I will say I had like 3 or 4 things at the same time, and MWMM was one of them where I was like, I am tackling this thing. I am bringing all of the tools online and I am like not letting myself run away from it. And because of that, I've been able to have like my highest revenue generating months ever. And I've been in business
Mm.
for 11-ish years. So it's been amazing to have
Huh.
that.
Like if you had one core takeaway, like, cause I feel like that's the thing, like even for me being mentored, being in other communities, I always realize that it's sort of one theme. Like there could
Hmm.
be a lot going on, but it's like I typically will have like one theme, one reason, one takeaway. If I look back on like experiences I've had in other containers or if there's something I'm working on. So yeah, that's really it. Just like kind of that overarching, but I love
Yeah.
hearing that it's heightens your revenue. That's the greatest thing ever. Cause I always like to
Yeah.
say that we always want more. But if we can't show ourselves or the universe or God or whatever you want to call it, that we can't take care or we're not willing to take care of what we have, then why would we be entrusted with more? It would just be more to
Hmm.
take care of that we don't know what to do with. So I just think that's beautiful. And do you feel like that's part, or has it been more strategy or a little bit of both?
I mean, it's just been having the roadmap, having the game plan. I check in with that worksheet every week. And then I
Mm.
was also looking because my desktop, I changed it when I got I think it was like a separate thing at the time that I bought into, but the scale. And
Yes.
in there, I loved the font and I loved something that you said once I was in MWMM. And you
Hmm.
said, I can have it all if I plan for it. So there's literally the
Mm.
backdrop. It is my desktop background. because I'm
Honored.
like, stay focused. We're like doing this. And the worksheet really helps keep me accountable and just
Mm.
not duck away in moments where I probably want to duck away. And I think that really helps me stay focused and like, you got to show up, you got to do the things. It doesn't have to be that hard. Like, even if you're just doing a tiny little thing, like I'm still moving in this direction that I want to go.
Yes. And that's like another reason, like, how have you experienced the 6 months minimum? Well, I know you've been in for
I've
way
been in
longer
longer.
than that, but like, was that a hurdle for you at first to be like, oh my God, 6 months? Or was it just like, what was sort of your relationship to that?
I think because I had been such a lurker and like, the little workshop masterclass grabber, I knew I was in and I knew that I was just ready for it. Like, I don't know what it is about me, but I do kind of vet. And it's not just vetting the thing, but it's also vetting the person. Like,
Absolutely.
do they seem like they're embodied in the work? Do I think I can really learn from them? Are they genuine? And
Yes.
so, like, since I've taken time to like be in your world, experience you, learn from you and the free stuff that you're doing, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in.
Oh, I love that. So it's like almost like the 6 months becomes like a non-issue.
Yeah, it was totally a non-issue, which is big for me to say because last year my bank account was so low, like scary
Oh.
low for most of the year. But I was like, we're going for it.
Well, and some people, I feel like they say, oh, it's magic. Yes, it's called Magical Women and Money, but it's like when you're willing to put your focus on something, you can change it. And that's what this is built for. It's literally the space or a space in your life where you can actually focus on this area of your life and do it in a safe way and do it in a soft, approachable way and a fun
Hmm.
way. I mean, we have so much fun and it's
Yeah,
pretty. Like, I'm all about my aesthetics. So it's like, I love to make it beautiful and it just feels so good in there.
it does. It really does. And I want to say too, I think the other part that's really cool is like you talk about the tactical, practical, and then like the more out there woo woo amazing tools that we have. And being able to come at this, I guess my Cap Stellium loves the fact that it's structured and it's logical, but it's
Yes.
also got the subconscious stuff has been really huge. The EFT tapping has been really huge. The hypnosis stuff with Leo, I've got his episode coming out shortly after
Ah,
yours,
so
which
exciting.
I'm so excited about. And if you love Leo, he's in the membership. So like definitely get your tushy in there. But like there's just so many fun tools and so many fun learnings and just different things. And like I said, I love learning. So I'm in there and just eating it all up.
God. I mean, I literally created this space like for myself. It's what I needed that I never had.
Mhm.
So that's such a gift. And it's so beautiful to hear. Like, I love that I got to ask you questions. It's just so fun. And it's
Yeah.
fun to see how you experience it because
Mhm.
when you create something, you're so close to it. So then to see how is it impacting you and what's your relationship like to the system and the process of it. And I'm so proud of you too, Boo.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for having this space and yeah, for especially keeping it open for those of us who lurk for a while and then we're like, all right, I'm in.
It's my honor. Let's keep rocking. Imagine where we'll be at 10 years.
Oh my gosh. That's just wild.
It's exciting. Just got to keep it
Yeah.
flowing.
I know. Something I didn't know about your story is that all of this really kicked off when you were 31.
Hmm.
And so I technically joined you when I was 32. So
Wow.
that's pretty cool to hear.
I don't know where this sort of narrative comes from that like we're supposed to have all this stuff figured out really quickly. And of course, maybe some people do, most don't. So it's never too late. Like we have women of all ages and eras in MWMM because it is never too late to do this work. It's never too late to learn this stuff. And it's also never too early. I wish I learned all of this earlier, but it's never too late. So I started when I was 31. And like I always say that line in the sand moment because I'll be 38 next year. And it's just like, I'm so proud of myself for, taking the bull by the proverbial horns and just being like, I'm learning this. Like, I'm not going to just let this part of my life happen to me anymore. And that's lifelong because I'm still doing it and with other areas. And what do they say? Like new level, new devil. So it's like the higher you go, like you got to continue to learn how to fly and glide and allow. And it's an honor to have a space like this. And I feel like having a conversation, it's funny because unless I'm in a team meeting, it's not like I'm objectively talking about this membership very often. And obviously, when we sell it, it's more around the storytelling and like what's in it. But it's also fun to get to have the dual conversation of like how you experience it as a member and why I created it and why it exists and why it's so powerful because it's a line in the sand moment. It's like if you really
Mhm.
want to change and you're ready to put in the work, it's here for you when you're ready.
Yeah, and it can make some big waves. I'm finding it so interesting that as you're saying some of the stuff about like money and finances and just like it's never too early, it's never too late. You've got the roadmap. So many things are so similar with SEO. It's
Really.
like it's never too early, it's never too late. I have the checklist that walks people through stuff. It's funny how so many topics can be like that and they can be these big things that we're scared of and that we avoid. And then you get in there and you're like, oh, it doesn't have to be scary or complicated or confusing.
Oh my God. I feel like that's literally life lesson number 3. There's other
Yeah.
ones, but it's like, it's so important. Like sometimes the thing that we're also resisting and we're afraid of is actually this simple process that if we're willing to just be courageous and move in the direction of what we want, like we'll be met. Doesn't have
Hmm.
to be scary.
Yeah. This has been such a joy having you.
Yay. Thanks, babe.
Yeah. Definitely let us know where we can go for MWMM. But like, is there anything else you want to add or how can people get in your world and lurk
Please.
and pull
Oh
a
my God,
Brittany?
lurk around. Let's go. So I'm on Instagram at Natalia_Benson. If you want to learn more about MWMM, it's just magicalwomenandmoney.com and join the waitlist. If you join the waitlist, we have a special 24-hour offer for you to jump in. If you'd like to wait for one of our 2 enrollment opportunities, we have one coming up in late October. So I will be teaching a really, really special masterclass for anyone who just wants to get to know me and my work and how I approach finances and astrology and bring those things together. And yeah, we'll have our final enrollment of 2024, which is really, really exciting. So if you're just like, yeah, it's freaking time and you're ready to step in and step up, then we're here for you and we'd love to have you. Would be great. Britt, I know anyone in your space would be the
Hmm.
perfect, so ready and just such a beautiful addition to such a special community
Hmm.
that we've created. And we've created it all together.
Yeah. Okay. 2 questions that I just thought of because I'm sure it's going
Yeah.
to be in someone's brain. Who is in the group? Because I do SEO and copywriting, but you also have like
Mhm.
astrologers and other people like that in the group. So what's the makeup and does everyone have a business?
So I do like to say that MWMM is especially powerful for anyone who has a business. I've also been an entrepreneur more than I've ever had a job, or I've only had one corporate job in my life. It lasted 6 months. So I really know how to speak and teach around entrepreneurship and business and how finances relate to that. However, if you are just let's say that you're a mom and you just want to have a healthier relationship to your finances, you can get that in MWMM. If you just are in your career or you're in college or you're in later life and you just want to create a healthier relationship to money and you're on the more woo woo side of things, you'll love it. But I do teach and speak mainly to entrepreneurs. We have healers, astrologers, SEO queens, like major business owners,
Hmm.
coaches, mentors. We have a really beautiful melange of women, also at all levels of business. So I will say, especially if you're at the beginning, it's so good to get healthy habits instilled in your relationship to money from the jump. I wish I had done that.
Yeah, same.
And if you're deeper in your business in a more experienced season of your entrepreneurial journey, but you've created some bad habits or you just feel totally like you don't get your numbers, MWMM is for you. And that's really the gift of those 6 financial tools is they are really available for every level of business owner. Whether you're just starting or you're super seasoned and advanced, they're quite universal in that way. But we have the gamut in MWMM, which is just such a gift. But I will say it is really, really focused deeply for entrepreneurs, but anyone can get something out of it if they're willing to show up and do the work and move through the process.
Yeah, totally. I could not agree more.
I love that.
Well, thank you for being with me.
Thank you so much for this. This was such an honor to share about MWM Bamboo. So thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time. Okay, you get it. You know SEO is important, but no, you're not interested in learning another skill. Who has the time? But who are you supposed to trust with the task of getting SEO to work for you? Someone who won't ghost you mid-project or treat you like a dum-dum lollipop. Someone who actually wants to empower you and your team with all things SEO. Hi, yes, it's me, Brittany, and you are the person I created the SEO packet for. You're curious, you want to understand this thing better, but like only a little bit. You don't actually want to do the doing. This way, you get the key SEO stuff super fast, and you get support throughout and beyond the project. No more letting Google gift you the wrong SEO strategy. Time to put the right words in the right places and get found online by the right people. Find all the info you need below.